today that I really don't want to wait anymore and take any of their time. So for those who have come on time, I'd like us to begin our meeting first by going around, as is our custom, introducing ourselves and telling everyone with what organization you are affiliated, if you are, and if not, if you're just a citizen of our community, identify yourself as that also. I'm Elaine Chapnick, President of the Local Summit.
Mary Lee Barrage, Summit Board Member, also with Women's Club and Interfaith and the Human Rights Committee. I have some special copies of our wonderful community service leaflet, and I want anybody who doesn't have one, I have many more. They have them up here. This is for our special speakers. There will be more otherwise. Welcome everybody. Oh, did I say who I was? I am Mary Lee Barrage. I thought
I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm June Hessler. I'm an assistant director at the Larchmont Public Library.
That one won't stretch, so we just switch for you.
I'm Pamela Dubitsky. I'm the chair of the Board of Trustees of the Larchmont Public Library.
Hi, I'm Brian Donnelly. I'm a reporter for Main Street Connect and the Daily Center.
Hi, I'm Gail Vidales, wife and also Hispanic women.
Sabrina Fiddleman, Summit.
Jane Eny, Councilwoman, Town of Mamaroneck.
Ernie Odierna, Councilman, Town of Mamaroneck.
Emmett Andrews, Summit, for the moment.
For the moment, I'm board president of the new, free, independent Mamaroneck Library.
Janet Buckbinder, the Summit, and Radar.
Deirdre Corwin, Kemper Memorial Park, and St. John's Outreach, and I'm a librarian at Fordham University.
Hey, all right.
Nancy Seligson, supervisor at the town of Mamaroneck and lover of libraries.
We did it. Back there.
Next table.
Kay Francis Richards, Human Rights Committee, Summit, and Washingtonville Housing Alliance Board.
Amy Ross, Westchester Jewish Community Services Parent Child Home Program.
Good morning, Keith Yeyes of Mamaroneck Public Schools, Summit.
Mary Joyce Barringer, you name it?
I like that.
Mary Louise Cox, ditto.
Fred Rosenberg, trustee of the Mamaroneck Library. We have a wolf coming February 26th to the Emerald. Free. Is it you, Fred?
Hi, Marlene Furtick, Hope Community Services.
Heidi Becker, Summit, Asheville Town, board member of Asheville Town, and since the Larchmont Library.
Selwood Free, Doctors for Social Responsibility.
Iris Freed, Hope Community Service.
John Gitlitz, Board of the Hispanic Resource Center and Occasional Summit Photographer.
Oh, I'm just saying hello. I'm
Just
Judy
say accept. Accept.
I'm Judy Dabra from Cancer Support.
Carolyn Pomerantz, vice president of the Mamaroneck Public Library Board of Trustees, also a board member of the Summit and
Thank you. I have to say that the turnout is not exactly what I was expecting, because I had so many phone calls about people who were interested in coming, but I also got phone calls from people who said they were going to be away, and they wanted to know when this was going to be on LMC-TV. So we hope that those of you who are not here are watching it on LMC-TV at another time. I want to welcome everybody here this morning also. From ancient times, or in ancient times, the library in Alexandria was considered one of the great seven wonders of the world. And through the ages, in every country and every culture, libraries have been the repository of the wisdom and culture of that group or nation. And even today, our libraries, in the age of Wikipedia and Google, are continuing to have a vital role in our lives. And today we're going to find out just what they do and how they do it in our community. Carolyn?
Thank you. First, I want to say happy Valentine's Day to everyone. It's a wonderful day to celebrate our libraries. I have my button on that says, I love my library, which I got when I was visiting the library with my children. Libraries mean a lot of things to a lot of people, and in this day of ebooks and digital readers and so much media that you can get online and ability to research online, the question is, what role do libraries have in our lives today? And I think, all of us have made investments in our libraries. Our libraries have been renovated, expanded, changed, modified. Their functions are changing. And as we invest in our libraries, our pillar of information in our community, what does this mean to us and why is it so important? And this is why I'm so happy to have this wonderful panel this morning to help us understand better from very different perspectives. We have Linda Costello, who's Rhinebeck School District's Daniel Warren School Library Media Specialist. She works with the younger grades. Then we have Tina Panginas, who's with the Mamaroneck High School as their librarian, and she can talk to a little bit older kids. We have the new library director at Mamaroneck Library, Susan Riley, and we have Laura Eckley, who is the new library director at Larchmont Library. So we're very fortunate to have this wonderful group of people here, and we'll start here with Linda. Linda has been the library media specialist at Daniel Warren School in Rhinebeck School District. I guess it's your 9th year? Yeah, 9th year, and is working right now with K through 2nd graders, yes. Kindergarten through 2nd. Linda helped plan the school's library renovation and can speak to how those plans reflect the way young students use the library today. Linda was previously in banking, believe it or not, and reinvented herself, going back to school to get a library science degree through Long Island University's Palmer School of Library Science, which seems to be a theme throughout a lot, well, not every single one of you, but enough that you'll hear this again. She says she has never once regretted her decision. In her words, and this is a quote, working with the children is a lovely way to spend the day. And now, without further ado.
Carolyn, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here today talking about what's changed in libraries for the K-2 crowd. About 3 years ago, we went through an enormous renovation of both the face and the fiber of the libraries. We went from just sort of being that traditional library, the kids came in, shared a book, literacy, all that, really to moving toward being a social center, a resource center, and a production center. And I think through that change, with the face of it, really concentrating on making it a place the kids wanted to come, I'd say that the shift in making sure that we're a program that's connected to everything that's going on in the classroom has been one of the most significant changes. As I said, everything that we do is now connected to classroom curriculum. We're connected to the teachers. We meet regularly. We collaborate, really looking to pull out all those pieces of what's going on in the classroom where we can really enhance the learning, deepen the understanding that the kids have. Just a couple of examples. When the children were studying sea creatures in the 2nd grade, not only are we working on the information fluency piece, where we're working to ensure that the kids have an understanding of how to handle all the information around them, we do a lot with technology, with video conferencing, and with that unit, we culminated the unit with video conferencing with the Seacoast Science Center, a center of experts up in New Hampshire, always looking to pull out all those different pieces. Our 1st graders were doing an insect unit. We were able to connect them with the bug scope, an electron microscope, out in the Beckman Center in the University of Illinois, where our children could really determine what questions they still had. We were able to send out some insect samples for them to look at in this incredible electron microscope. We controlled the movement of the microscope, and it was just a really incredible way for them to gain a deeper understanding of this unit that they had spent a couple of months on. We're always looking to connect the kids to the world. Even at the K2 level, we do an awful lot with Web 2.0, where the kids are creating content for the internet. No better way to deepen your understanding than sort of putting your learning out there and, putting it out there for public viewing, public scrutiny. I mean, I don't know, nobody's scrutinizing the K-2 crowd, but it's a very, they're very supportive. But, we do a lot with ending units where the kids can create, for instance, my first graders will create PowerPoints of what knowledge they've accumulated. VoiceThread is an internet tool that has been wonderful for the K-2 crowd. We can load their work. The children then have an opportunity to record their voices talking about their work, and they can then share those links with anyone at all. It's just incredible. My first graders ended a magnet unit creating a PowerPoint with their understanding of magnets, talking about it. Family and friends all over the world can take a look at that then and put their comments on, ask questions, create a dialogue online. And, as an introduction to social media, which is so important for them to understand, this is just such an age-appropriate way to gain those understandings of what's appropriate, what's, how the whole social media piece works. My second graders have had a unit recently. They're studying community. And what better way to study community than to look at their own classroom community. And each child created a quilt square that they had to make choices in background, clip art, font styles that helped represent themselves. Once we put all those squares together, it was meant to represent their classroom community. And again, by putting that out there on the internet, using VoiceThread, they could share that with just about anyone. That connection with the world is really just incredible. One of our second graders had grandparents in Israel that were able to see his work, listen to him talk about his work, and then create that online discussion. And it really was just an incredibly powerful example of how we really are all interconnected, and the internet can bring us all together. My kindergartners, again with that connection to the world in response to the earthquake in Japan, a teacher came to me and said, how can we share these pictures that the kids have made, their wishes for the children of Japan, and to load those up and again have the children talk about their work. That we actually got that into the hands of some Japanese schools in Japan, and it was just incredible for the children to feel again that connection to the world. So I think one of the biggest changes that we've gone through is really just making sure that we're connected in everything that we do. We meet regularly with the teachers, like I said, looking for those opportunities, and it's that give and take, where the teachers will then come to me saying, I'd like to really expand on this. What can we do? We certainly are connected throughout Rhinebeck as we move the children along the information fluency continuum. We do always want to ensure that by the time they leave Rhinebeck, that they are just effective and efficient users of information, can appreciate everything that libraries have to offer. And we make sure that we go through and always ensure that the children are gaining the skills they need at the appropriate level, so that we can hand them off to the next grade and know that they're going to go through in a very, very logical progression, gaining all those skills that they need. We are certainly very connected also to the public libraries. I think we've already met twice with our friends at the Mamaroneck Library, because again, we want to make sure that the children are connected not only to our program, but to the public library programs too. We feel that both have something so significant to offer to our children, and we want to make sure that I know Ms. Marsha from Mamaroneck is always over with us, and becomes a very, very familiar face to our kids, so that their entrance into the public library system is also very, very smooth, familiar, and friendly. And we really do work to make sure that all of this is happening in a way that is fun. And we always want to make sure, too, that that the children really love to come to library and have an understanding and appreciation for everything that we have to offer.
Thank you. You can pass that on, that'd be great. It's obvious that our children, even at the youngest ages, are now exposed to different kinds of media and different technology than we were at that age. It's, you know, you're starting to see how libraries are not just about books anymore, although books still play a role, I'm sure. Our next speaker is Tina Panginis. You've been at Mamaroneck High School since 1995, is it? Wow, okay. And before that, she worked in New York City. She obtained her undergraduate degree from Barnard and her master's in library science from Queens College with a specialty in school library. Tina was also involved in the renovation of Mamaroneck High School's library, which actually was reduced in size a little bit, where some of the other libraries were expanded. She can speak to how teens function within the new space and how these older students access libraries today. Tina mentioned that both her husband and her mother are Mamaroneck High School grads, and or her mother-in-law, sorry, his mother. And she now has 2 children in our school district, and she is looking forward to producing, in her words, more MHS alumni. So without further ado, Tina, thank you.
Thank you. This is a real pleasure. I have too much to say, and I'm probably going to be a lot of a faster speaker because I want to get it all in. And with a race. It is a total race, but
well, she ceded 2 minutes, a minute and a half.
She did. Great. Thank you. I'll use them. But there is a huge legacy with my family, and that's one thing that was a huge draw for working in Mamaroneck. And it also didn't hurt that it's such an amazing school, amazing students, amazing faculty, so it makes my job really easy. I think I'll first speak to the renovation, because that really was a big part of my job when I started working in Mamaroneck 16 years ago, because when I was hired, I said, how would you like your new space to look? Because they wanted to first renovate our space. And then 5 years after that, they said, let's just build a new one. And that's what it ended up becoming. And yes, it is a little smaller in scale, but it is way more functional. The space that we originally had, there was really only the way to do maybe 1 or 2 things. But in our new space, there can be a multitude of things happening simultaneously. And a lot of the space that involved the use of shelves storing the books, we now have a smaller collection. So there's more space for the kids to do other things. So it's a great dynamic environment where you've got both print material, non-print material. We have Wi-Fi access for kids to use on their own devices. We have a classroom that has a projector so we can conduct interactive lessons. So there's from soup to nuts. They've really done an amazing job of making it a very active environment where many things can happen for students and for their classes. In the types of services that we provide, we are a very unique campus in that we're open, meaning that from bell to bell, the kids don't need to be in one place. They can opt to be in the library during their unassigned time. And it's not something where I'm checking their schedule to see where they need to be. So there's a lot of independence in that, and it really does become more of a communal environment for the kids. They come there not just because they have an assignment to do, but because they also want to work with their friends or work on a computer during their downtime so that they can be prepared for the next day. So really there's a lot of things going on as I'm teaching classes, so there's never a dull moment in that space. In terms of collaboration, there is a huge amount of collaboration. That is a huge chunk of my job. I'm not doing this in a vacuum. I'm making sure that the materials that I make available are resources that the teachers need and that the students are required to use. We make a real effort to think ahead of the curve and what types of resources might be required for the students to use. As school librarians, we don't just consider ourselves depositories of knowledge, we consider ourselves classrooms. So we are training our children, our students, to be patrons of public libraries, patrons of academic libraries, being able to use them effectively. So when someone would say to me, well, we don't need books anymore, we're just going to use things online, I said, well, you tell me when the academic libraries get rid of all their print collections, and I will be happy to dump everything. So they need to know how to use what they're going to be moving on to. So as a classroom, we make sure that there are print resources that are valid and relevant and something that they want to use. And also make sure that they become very literate in the use of the new technology that's out there for information searching. But again, we are a community center too. We are the center of the ballot box collections for canned food drives, for senior superlatives. I mean, we're the place where it all gets done. So it's not just the place where you can hear a pin drop. We're definitely an active environment. Club meetings too, every time during lunch. Now, I talked about how patrons are using the library. Another fun comment is that we started a trend, and we've even had the school newspaper write about it and MHS Info videotape it. We love crosswords. I have teachers coming to get the crossword puzzle from the New York Times, so it's a fun little add-on that we did. Now, how have libraries changed and evolved? That in a school environment, we are no longer the place where the kids just come because the teacher tells them to. They come because they want to. And they come on their free time, but we also run many programs. Every year we do what we call a celebration of the arts, where Mamaroneck has so many amazing things that the kids do, and not everyone kind of is aware of it. So I kind of brought them out into Muhammad, and I did an all-day program where one period we have students singing a cappella, another period we have students reciting poetry, another period we have wind and string ensembles. So classes come in and see all these performances, and we get guest speakers, a lot of guest speakers. So we kind of move the chairs and tables and line them up, and we're now an auditorium for the day. So we do a lot of things like that. And as our teaching role, I mean, we try to teach inquiry. We want them to become effective users of information, effective users of the social media that they're going to be using, not just personally, but also on a professional level. So there really is a major lesson to be learned about how you present yourself online. We even have kids post book reviews on our catalog. So we have that component as well. Do we still need libraries if everyone's getting e-readers and can just download books? That was one of Carolyn's questions. I was ready to take that one on. Well, the question then is, can everyone afford an e-reader? I think that's one thing that we kind of forget, that it's so easy to click download, but, and we can say, well, there's so much free stuff out there. Yeah, that's great, but it's not copyrighted material. And we want the kids to become savvy customers. We want them to value the knowledge that is produced by people who are trained and paid to do so. So we want to make sure that the kids understand that there is value in information, and that just because it's on YouTube and on Wikipedia, I'm done. That's not going to cut it when they go to college. So we actually, just this past week, are starting a new ebook collection that's going to be part of the Southern Westchester School Library System. We're one of the first districts that's going to take this on, in addition to Rhinebeck. And starting in April, we're now going to be offering ebooks to students that they can download on their own devices, and I'm also going to be getting e-readers that we can loan out to students so that if they don't have the means, they can borrow the e-readers themselves. So we're not just going to be brick and mortar, we're also trying to make our stuff available online. And am I going too long? Are you almost done? Yes, I am almost done. It's just like, where do we see ourselves in the future? We're more of a learning commons, not just, like I said, we're not just there to kind of store knowledge, we're there to make students embrace knowledge. So it is definitely a fun environment for the kids. They are active users, active participants, and I'm very proud of them when they really make use of the resources we have.
Thank you so much. You met the challenge of the time factor very well. Obviously, we're hearing that libraries are not quiet necessarily anymore, so that's kind of interesting. So now we're on to the public libraries. We're leaving the schools, and We have two new, brand new library directors in our tri-municipality. The Mamaroneck Library's director came on board last month, so she's been there for a really long time compared to Larchmont. Laura, I guess you started last week. Yeah, so we're really putting them in the hot seat immediately, but fortunately for us and them, they're both very experienced veterans, being library directors in other places. So we know that we can put them on the hot seat and they can tell us about libraries pretty well. Susan Riley was most recently director of Mount Kisco's library, where she oversaw the planning, construction, and move into their newly built facility. I guess it was in 2009. She's previously worked at the Greenberg Library, the White Plains Library, Ardsley, Chappaqua, and Ossining. Yeah, you got around, honey. And she received her master's in library science from Queens College and the advanced certificate for public library administration from Long Island University, LIU. Susan is a self-described technology geek, and in her spare time, if she has any, she loves to read, of course. That's nice to hear from a library director. And she works out in the gym, she runs, she's a runner, I guess, and hiker with her husband and her dogs, and she likes yoga and all sorts of things. She has grandchildren. You can find, she told us to look for her as she is participating in races, so running races. So she might be in those 5K fundraising races, so please look for her as she slowly runs by. She said slow. She is a well-known, believe it or not, professional book reviewer for more than 22 years. She specializes in writing reviews for both fiction and nonfiction titles for teens, as well as reviews on books dealing with pets, dogs, right? Dogs. And without further ado, Susan Riley, Mamaroneck Public Library.
Thank you so much all for coming, and happy Valentine's Day. It's nice to see so many red outfits, and I totally forgot. When you think about libraries, you know, everybody loves a library. It's very easy for politicians to say, oh, we love libraries, we support libraries. But what's really nice is to come into a community that puts its money where its mouth is. It is very clear from the school libraries taking their roles so professionally, bringing up students to learn and cherish library skills, and then they move into the public library arena, and we are luckily able to serve everyone. Schools have the focus of the curriculum, they're helping to develop the children, but our mission is a little bit different. And our mission is that we serve everybody from cradle to grave almost. So it's really a very, very different focus, and one that complements all the work that the school libraries have already taken care of. What I'd like to talk about today for a couple of minutes is what's called the third place. You know, everybody talks about what are the basic human needs, and it's not just needs like food and water, but it's also emotional needs. Your home is your first place. Your home is where you feel cherished and loved, and where you go every day when you return. And your second place is your workplace. But the third place in your life is also vitally, vitally important. And it's where people gather for deeper interpersonal connections, really. And I'm really happy to say that the Mamaroneck Library provides this third space for people. We provide all sorts of programs, services, and materials for every single age group in the community, starting from children, where we have baby story times, and teacher in the library, and homework help, and Akka the wolf coming to delight all the children. We have after-school homework help and teacher in the library. We have all kinds of things for teens that are just fabulous. Yesterday they were decorating cookies, the Valentine's Day cookies. I have never seen so much frosting and those little heart candies, you know, the ones that say, I love you, and, you know, call me, all those kinds of things. It was all over, and there were about 17 heavily defrosted children in there. You know, taking advantage of this opportunity, not only to just have a good time, but to sort of mingle with each other. And the librarian, the teen librarian, had displays of romance books, graphic novels, poetry, you know, little love poems, and you could see some of the kids writing down little phrases. It was fabulous. It was really fabulous. And we work with the kids all the time to make sure that their library experiences are really rewarding and emotionally involving. For adult programs, we have all kinds of things, leading from internet instruction. You know, there's so many people who are a little concerned about using that mouse to link to whatever, and they're a little trepidatious about learning how to do all these sorts of things. We have films and movie series. We even have homebound delivery for seniors, for people who are homebound, which is really a fabulous service. Not only that, but we give an introduction to younger people and people who are out of work in terms of volunteering, learning professional activities, giving back to their community. They do student hours. There are people who are retired who value libraries and want to have the opportunity to share their wealth of knowledge. And so we accept a lot of volunteers, and they really help contribute to the library. And of course, we have lots of book clubs too, you know, the traditional sorts of things. But as we move along in the evolution of libraries, we see that our role has really, really expanded. We have art displays from community members. We have tax forms. Think of how hard that is to get sometimes. We help people with job search, and that's unfortunately becoming more and more of a reality over the past few years. We have literacy programs. We help people learn English and how to read English, not just their own, you know, native languages. We support government forums. Recently, the governor's budget was presented in the library, and we had a lot of media attention from that. We also do the traditional sorts of stuff. Where do you go when there's no more borders? When Barnes & Noble is so far away and doesn't carry the book that you're looking for? We're here for you. We want you to come. We welcome you. We have DVDs. There's no more Blockbuster, right? We have magazines and newspapers. And the public is using the library in larger and larger numbers. And we're so happy to welcome everybody into the building. It's just a fabulous place. We love our new library. We're so happy to be there. We're so happy to be serving the community and all of you. And we're really, really thankful that we have this opportunity to share what we do with all of you. A lot of times we're involved in special projects. Coming up, we have the Green Screen, which is an environmental film festival. That's taking place both in the Larchmont Library, some Larchmont and Green and Mamaroneck communities, and as well as the Mamaroneck Library. We have meeting rooms for small groups to use. We're kind of a haven for the latchkey kids, you know, the kids who come out of the high school and they come running over and they're starving and they've got these enormous backpacks. They throw them down and they get together as a group and they become friends. And it's really nice to see such a diverse group of students making use of the library. We have technology for all ages, from the little kids who are using the computers for the first time, to the senior citizens who are learning to download to their ebook readers that their children gave them for the holidays. And in fact, we've decided to make National Library Week. It's going to be Digital Literacy Week at the Mamaroneck Library. We're going to be having instructions on how to download. We're going to have a little technology petting zoo so that you can come and play with the devices and see which ones you prefer. We offer about 13,000 different titles of ebooks that are free for people to use. You can download them for 2 weeks, you read them, and then poof, they disappear off your device. It's really wonderful. It's a lot of little steps, but boy, oh boy, it's great to be able to do that to your phone or your Kindle or your iPad. It's really fabulous. Most of all, we provide an inviting, a comfortable, a leisurely, and a safe environment for the community Where else can you go for this sort of a thing? We're here for you, and we welcome you, and we can't wait to see you coming through our doors. People come here every day for all different things, whether it's to use their own laptops, to wirelessly connect, or to use our materials, to find that book that their mother told them about in book group, or to look up something that's concerning them. You know, they might have, for example, someone recently came in and was looking for information on tamoxifen, had recently gotten a diagnosis of breast cancer, and needed to know more about it. She was just too shocked after walking into the doctor and getting this news, and now she was ready to do a little research and find out what she could get that was actually accurate, not just some stuff that maybe a 14-year-old put up on the internet. They wanted the real scoop on this stuff, and we're here to provide it, and we're happy to do so. I wanted to thank you again for inviting me here. This has really been a delightful opportunity, and I'm going to turn this over to Laura, who is the brand new director of the Larchmont Library.
Thank you. So let me tell you a little about Laura. She was previously the director of Bronxville Public Library. During her, was it 9 years there? So we were there a long time. The library was designated by the prestigious Library Journal as one of the nation's star libraries for the 4th year in a row, in recognition of exceptional levels of service. Before serving in Bronxville, she had worked in Rye. Great reading. Okay. Laura received her undergraduate degree from NYU and her master's in library and information science from LIU, Long Island University. In her free time, Laura enjoys reading, knitting for charity, you're a knitter, and spending time with her 14-year-old daughter. Thank you.
So Susan spent some time talking about the physical library and programs, the wonderful programs that we all offer to our communities, and the kinds of instruction that we do in the library. I'm going to spend some time talking about the virtual library, which would be the programs and the services that extend beyond the walls of our buildings. We have, as I'm sure many of you know, 38 libraries that are in the Westchester library system. And we have what's called a cooperative system. Each library is independent. However, we come together through the Westchester library system to offer a lot of unified services. Probably the most important unified service that we provide in the county is our unified catalog, which means that all of the items that are in those 38 libraries are cataloged together, and that's available to our residents online. You can go online from home. You can obviously do it in the library, but you can go online at home and search for anything within the library catalog and then put a hold on it and pick it up anywhere in the library. So no matter where you're a resident, you can use the library in any other municipality in Westchester County. And I think that I'm talking to a group of library lovers, so I'm sure you probably already know that. We've had this in place for over a decade, and I think that here in Westchester, we've sort of grown to a point where we kind of take it for granted. But what many of you probably don't know is that our system is a little bit unique and special in that we're able to do this in such a streamlined fashion. Other systems in the state and even in the country actually look to Westchester County's model as to how we do this. And that's a very nice thing to know when you go online and so easily just put a book on hold and then run down to the local library to pick it up a few days later. We have over 5 million items in our catalog, and our circulation for the last year was 8 million. So that just tells you how busy the county libraries are. 8 million items were checked out in Westchester County libraries. So our libraries are thriving and very relevant when you look at that statistic. One of the other services that we offer is we will get books from outside of Westchester County for residents that are looking for something that is not available in the county. And this actually is a very popular service in Larchmont. We have a lot of local authors, and we are able to provide them with a lot of books that they need to do research for their writing. William Broad, who's a resident of Larchmont and also an author, and who's going to be speaking at the library on March 25th on his book, The Science of Yoga, was interviewed in the Patch last week, and one of the things that he talked about was he thanked the reference staff at the Larchmont Library library for all of, I think he said hundreds of books that were interlibrary loan from outside of the system for him. I'm sure it probably wasn't hundreds, but I'm guessing it was quite a lot. Another wonderful service that we're able to offer as part of the Westchester Library System and our collective purchasing power there are newspaper databases, online newspaper databases, online magazine databases, and online encyclopedias. And this means that with your library card from home, you can go online and search for an article that was in a recent New York or a national newspaper or in a magazine. This is especially helpful for middle school and high school children that are doing homework and the adults that are helping them from home. And we have also a database that's called Learning Express, which offers test prep for all the way from elementary school through adults that are looking to do some skill building. It's a wonderful, wonderful service. They have tutorials as well as you can even take like a civil service test online. You can take a practice test for a civil service exam, and that's also provided through the Westchester Library System. We have a number of electronic databases that are available actually only in the library. One of them is Ancestry.com. I'm sure you've all seen the commercials. You do unbelievable research on your family. I was able to look up the census from the 1920s and find out some more information about my family that was living in New Jersey at the time. We also have access in the library to LexisNexis, which gives you very detailed information about legal cases. That's a very popular service that we offer. And finally, our most exciting electronic product that we offer is our subscription as a system to Overdrive. And Overdrive provides access to, as of right now, 13,500 ebooks, downloadable ebooks, and audiobooks. We've had this in place since 2009 in the county. Since that time, over 180,000 ebooks have been downloaded in Westchester County. So you can see that it's a popular item, but compared to the 8 million circs that we have for the rest of our materials, it's holding up. It has a place, but it's growing. As of January, the system has dedicated a larger portion of our database money towards purchasing more ebooks so that there will be a broader collection and also shorter wait times. Just like when you put a hold on a regular book, you have to put a hold on an ebook. So now with a larger collection, the wait times for ebooks will get a little shorter. So what's people, one of the most wonderful things that we tell people is that the best part about our ebook collection is that it's free. Because just like all of our services at the library, our ebooks are free too. And I love the Amazon commercial where the woman talks about how magical and wonderful it is that the book comes right onto her Kindle right away. What they don't show is the same woman opening up her credit card statement a month later and going, I spent how much money on books? So, or how much money did my child spend on books? So here within the library system, you can download books to your e-readers for free. And as Susan said, they just magically, they're there for 2 weeks, they magically sort of poof, disappear after 2 weeks when your time period is up. And with all of these wonderful electronic products available, I think one of the questions that Kimberlyn asked was, how are libraries still relevant? Well, we're relevant because coming back to the physical library, we provide so much assistance with these products. And people really do need quite a bit of assistance with, especially with e-readers. Even I got an e-reader for my birthday over the summer, and even I had to bring it into the library, and I just, needed to fiddle with it a little bit. I needed a little help from the reference staff, and I mean, we find that people come in all the time with that there are so many different types of readers available with Kindles, iPads, Nook, and they just sometimes need a little one-on-one help with how to get started. And it's actually a fairly simple product. Once you have it working, it works perfectly, but sometimes you just need a little help getting it working. And as Susan said, lots of libraries are having technology days. I like the concept of a petting zoo day or a show and tell kind of a day where they have programs where people can come in who maybe haven't purchased an e-reader yet and take a little time to try out each of the different e-readers that are available and see which one they think is going to work best for them.
love the idea that National Library Week is going to be a technology week in America. I think I'm going to come. And I think that the most important thing is that we're there to continue to assist with all of these programs. Some of these things, some of these products that we have are they're very advanced, and you really need a little one-on-one instruction, and that's why we have our excellent reference staff available to tell you not even how to use them, but sometimes which one you need to use. We often have people coming in that are looking for something, and they're not aware of what we have to offer. They might be looking for something in a physical newspaper, and we're able to say, well, you know what, not only do we have, yes, we have the New York Times from last week, but let's go look and see what they wrote about it in some of the other national newspapers, and we're able to introduce them to some of those databases and help them find even broader information than what they were originally looking for. So, and I want to thank you all for having me here today. I've only been here a week, and I've received such a warm welcome to the Larchmont Mamaroneck community. It's been really wonderful.
Thank you so much. So we've learned that libraries are community centers. They can be technology instructors as well as a place to go for medical research, for genealogical research, and for so much more. So we're hearing, and I guess you've all heard, how libraries have been evolving. And I now open it up to the audience to see if anyone has any questions.
First off, I want to thank you. The last library orientation I attended was about 60 years ago. And as one of the elected officials who needs to vote on the library budget periodically, we have the presentation about the budget, but we don't necessarily know all the details as to what goes on. So this was invaluable in that regard. I'm looking forward to you publicizing the technology events so that we can better understand how to use it. I mean, my kids got me an iPad for a combination of getting to be 75, of retiring, and birthday, and so it's a whole combination gift. But I'm only scratching the surface of what I can do with it. So if there was a day where I wouldn't be embarrassed to come in and say, how the hell do you do this? There's probably a bunch of other folks, in my generation who, learned the Dewey Decimal System, and that's what we know about the library. So keep up the good work, and thanks so much for the latest orientation of the library.
Anyone else?
I'm curious about the quality of information. I'm curious, and I know it's come up in other discussions, about the quality of information that children can get online, and how you deal with that as you talk about the library's classroom, many people, particularly the ones that are in schools. How do you deal with that? Because children do have access to so much, and as one of you said, you don't want to just get information that some teenager puts out about cancer. How are children trained to understand what sites are giving good information, how to triangulate information so you have several sources so you know what's valid and relevant? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I think teaching children to determine the authority of websites is a huge part of that information fluency continuum, teaching them to be good users of information. Certainly at the K2 level, we control the information that they see. We do, we purchase a lot of databases. There are a lot of databases out there, not only that have wonderful information for young children, but there are databases out there that will then read the information to the children. So when you've got the emergent readers, that's such an important piece. Training them to use the information. I think the determining the authority of sites happens a little bit later, and I'm going to pass that over at that point, just to say that we're controlling the information that they see at the earliest levels.
What I can say is there was this, the American Library Association has their annual conferences, and one year I sat in on one where they were releasing data on some research they did on the study habits of students, and it was from K to academic. And the thing that I really walked away with was that children develop mental models that in these mental models, they have this one approach that they consider to be the best way to do something. And maybe it's a good model for one approach, but then when they get older and their information needs to become more complex and they need to get better resources, they still stick with that mental model. And what I think was amazing was that the kids acknowledged that their approach was not the best way, but they're comfortable with it. So our role, I think, is to start building a mental model that makes them realize that there is a lot of great stuff out there, and that I shouldn't just be content to do the easy road. I want to like skip the rails a little bit and have access to other materials. So we're the cheerleaders. We're the ones that are saying, you know what, you don't just have to use this. You can use this, this, and that, and hopefully make them realize that on their own they're going to be doing it. And we have a technology committee at the high school. Actually, it's a district-wide technology committee, and students were sitting in on it. And the subcommittee that I was a part of wanted to know the technology habits of students. So they were putting together a survey. So as they were putting together the survey, I said, ask them how many library databases they use, how frequently they use our library databases. And that went through the roof. That number went up. That just to say, like, what do you use to do your assignments? And I can't tell you how many hits there were for library databases. So we're kind of in the trenches, and we're trying to make them realize that these are good places to go, and that, you know, Google as much as you want, but, you know, there's other places as well.
One of the things I learned very quickly when I was helping one of my children when he was younger doing research is that you can Google something and have like 100 hits and spend hours, or you could go to the library, sit with a reference librarian, and in 2 minutes you have what you need, and you know it's a reliable resource. So don't forget our reference librarians. They're amazing.
The one thing that struck me very much about what you said is that you look to teach inquiry. I thought that was a stunning concept, because everything that you're talking about is really teaching how to cultivate an inquiring mind. I guess I should fall into the Luddite category because I'm so old, and as Ernie, I learned the Dewey Decimal System, and I was so proud of understanding that and how to use the card catalog, which when we grew up was manual and like little index cards, you know, that you would flip through. I've seen with my own granddaughter, though, my daughter would be appalled to hear me say that, but I'm worried that she might have the attention span of a gnat, because so much of what she learns is technologically driven through either her parents' iPad or what she sees on the television. It's all such quick stuff, and she's in kindergarten now, and she did bring home a book which we shared yesterday, but how do you deal with kids who don't have the patience to plow through some of it? I'm using the word that they might, if they could, think of, through something that requires a longer attention span. Do you see this as an issue?
I can go for it. Okay. Yes, I do see that there sometimes is a wish to get it immediately, and we have had for the past 2 weeks 9th and 10th grade research paper visits, and one teacher who I thought was hysterical, she kind of says, like, don't expect the skies to open and angels singing that you found your resource. You're going to actually have to read through it and decide. So yeah, I mean, that is a skill. It's a skill of stamina and willpower to be able to muddle through something, because we said if you have a list of 72 resources that you want to go through, maybe the 71st is the one that works. And for us who have kind of plowed through the mud and read through things from cover to cover, it's kind of interesting to kind of take that concept and bring it to a digital generation. So yes, they want to have a quick fix, but we're still trying to train them, and even on a digital one. There's still so much stuff out there that you have to have the patience to kind of go through it and not accept your first result because Google said it as the first one on their relevancy result. It might not be the right hit. So it still applies.
Yeah.
and I was going to say too, even with my second graders, you know, we do a lot of work with making sure that children, if they're on websites, they're on age-appropriate websites. And so even teaching the second graders that, you know, to type your question into Google, they really shouldn't be on Google for just the reasons we were saying before. They have no ability to determine authority. We do sea creature research with the second graders, and they do begin to see that. You know, sometimes they're questions, and again, these have to be their own, you know, personal inquiry questions, something that is interesting to them, because that's what's going to drive them a little bit further. You know, and they begin to see, they're getting their first taste of that it's not always an immediate answer. And I do think that that sense of impatience that the kids do develop, that can sometimes be an impetus for making them even more efficient researchers. And, you know, it's just, I think, through that practice and, you know, in finding some resources and trying to determine, did that really answer my question, that will continue to move them forward. Because when the question is their own, I also think they've got, you know, that ownership over the question is going to push it a little bit farther. And, you know, as we said before, it's you know, we're the coaches, and it really is our job to keep helping them move forward until they do find the information that's needed to answer their own personal questions. So, you know, hopefully those combinations of things answer to that.
Satisfy the
And us.
And you still? You were waiting longest. Go ahead.
How do you find the profession from when you first went into it and now as a profession, not only for women but also for men?
I think we have the best jobs in the entire universe. I love my job. I'm one of those people that really likes new things. I like to see what's coming. I read all the magazines about what's coming up in technology, what's coming up in social issues, all those sorts of things. And so it's absolutely delightful to work in a field where there's acquisition of knowledge, frankly, you know, and being able to find this out through so many different resources. My son is a librarian too. My oldest son, he started out in computers and has gone into library science because he's seen what an enormously broad field it can be, and is so rewarding in so many ways. And we're delighted to work in communities where this is important.
I'm just going to echo what Susan said and say that I absolutely love my job. I love being a librarian. And I did not start out as a librarian. I went back to school after almost a decade out of college. And, you know, I think the thing that appeals to me the most about librarianship is that I like answering questions. I could have maybe been a private detective if I hadn't been a librarian. And it's kind of a joke among librarians that often the patron will come in and ask a question, and if we can't find it, you know, within 5 or 10 minutes, they'll say it's not important. If you come back 2 hours later, we're still trying to find it. But we love to help people, and that's the other aspect of it, that being a librarian, it really is. It's a community service position. There's a lot of service to it. It's a public service. You get to work with people one-on-one, and that's a tremendously rewarding thing. That's been very rewarding to me as a professional, to go home every day feeling like I made a difference in my community, that I've helped people, and that I've been of service.
Has plagiarism reared its ugly head, or are the kids too young to know how to do that? We teach them
Now I feel like I'm in the hot seat. It's a big issue, but I think it is more of an issue of how the kids know how to document what they've done. I don't think, I see a majority of it as them not knowing how to properly credit a source, how to properly paraphrase and summarize. So that is something that the high school is trying to kind of train the kids to do. I mean, we don't want to make it punitive. We want them to know the right way to handle information.
Okay. I would like to ask, or rather to comment about how absolutely exceptional I think it is to know that there's a group called Friends of the Library. This happens to be the Larchmont Inn, but I'm going to Mamaroneck in a minute. The remarkable 160 people turnout on a holiday weekend in January to hear the Occupy Wall Street speaker was one of the more phenomenal things that I think has happened, certainly in the Larchmont community. And it connects with concerns we have in the summit. We were talking last time about the economic injustice issues and from the Martin Luther King inspiration. And I hear you talking in the Mamaroneck end of it, the job hunting elements that are in that library and what can be done. I so hope we can do some connecting as we try to help this community given the economic issues that are just so severe for all of us. So I just thank the libraries, all of them, what is being done, and I'm sure in the schools, you are sensitizing people to things of this nature. So I'm just so delighted to hear you, and again, friends of the library, wonderful work.
Thank you so much. It's one of the most important things that we do is trying to help people use our resources to get ahead financially. Frankly, it's been a terrible time for people. We're seeing huge increases in the usage of the library, and we've really built up our resources to assist economically in each community.
I know we have Job Journey, which is a program that helps people seek jobs in our library system, so that's wonderful. And now we're running short on time. I'm going to just call for one more question, and we need to wrap it up just to be on time.
Mine is not really a question, so
Oh.
maybe you'll do one more question. I just wanted to thank you. This has been really enlightening. But I think something that is often, and since we've started talking about the economics here a little bit, something that's often lost, and I think all library patrons and all library lovers need to remember that at least here in this part of the country, we support our libraries through our property taxes. And we support our school libraries through our school taxes. And so for every person who says, what do I get from taxes? You really can point a very, very large finger at libraries. And they do serve such a purpose. And believe it or not, it is, I serve on the county level, it is a fight each and every year to keep what is really minimal funding for the Westchester library system. And every year it's cut and vetoed and overridden. And yet this brings to light how incredibly valuable libraries are to us as a culture, really, as a society. So I thank you.
Actually, thank you, Judy. This state has been systematically cutting funding for libraries also in, I think, 10% a year for the last 4 years. So there's been an enormous reduction in aid to libraries over the years, and it does put a strain on every library district and every facility. Is it a question? Last question. Okay, all right, the last question. Sorry. Thank you for hanging in, everyone.
As a legislator, we often it suggests that we pass a law that does X, Y, or Z. And the question that often comes up while we deliberate is what are the other communities doing, or what have they done, has it worked? It dawned on me that the library would probably be a good place to try to research that. Most of us don't have the knowledge or the skills as to how to best look it up. I mean, I'll get something that'll bring me information from Nevada or Arizona. I want to know what the other Westchester communities are doing. So if you make it easy, if you figure out a way to make it easy for me and not spend 4 hours at the library to come in and find out about plastic bags, what can we do about getting rid of them, stuff like that, that would be useful. So I need little arrows. When I walk into the library, I don't want to go to the children's room, or I don't want to take out a DVD. I have a simple question. Give me a little point where I can get to it. I'll go back 2 hours later.
We have wonderful professional librarians who are highly trained and well educated and can help you out. Libraries are models of efficiency in terms of funding, and we'll be absolutely thrilled to help you.
But now there's a person working at the desk.
Yes.
Is that a librarian?
Reference desk.
I'm not talking about the reference. I walk in, and that's where you bring your books in or you check them out.
That's the checkout desk.
That's why I need a little, question mark.
Absolutely. Come on over. I'll give you a great tour. I'm sure Laura will too.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Good question.
All right, so you need to find the references. So you go in and say, where's the reference?
You turn right in Mamaroneck.
All right, so thank you so much, everyone. Let's give a big hand for this lovely panel. And as you go forward, please remember on this Valentine's Day to hug your librarian.
Thank you all for coming.